called the world's first metrosexual because he was this big fat football player and all he wore were flowers, which is kind of like what Dan Deerdorf ended up doing. But it's just funny to think about Merlin Elson. But he would just get under your skin. And I love the fact that he was an O lineman, that he would do that. But if you would ask me how old Conrad Dobler was, I'd probably say 80, but he's only 72. So the dirtiest player of the 70s, at least one of them. Sorry to report that. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. pack time, and we'll do another edition of Titillating Sports.
The Opperman Report, weekday nights at 9 on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Pushing the Limits time. So glad you could join us. And boy, do we have a jam-packed show lined up for you today. It's kind of like the typical Pushing the Limits show. You know, a little sports, a little politics, a little entertainment. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about some serious issues. We're going to yell. We're going to scream. The usual stuff here. Here's something interesting, and I show this. We have new cameras in studio now. I'm so excited. You don't have to see my face too up close, which is a good thing for a lot of you. So there's an event in Las Vegas tonight, and to no surprise, the Clark County Republican Party is associating themselves with a guy by the name of Scott Pressler. I've interviewed this guy before. He is a QAnon conspiracy theorist, an election denier, and even worse, runs an anti-Muslim organization, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. And the Republican Party here in Las Vegas is having him speak today at the Ahern Hotel. So I'm going to get both sides of this issue. A lady by the name of Katrina Ivanoff, who is a local Republican political activist, is going to be coming in studio. She's going to this event. I guess she's going to defend this guy, so that should be interesting. And then in hour number 2, a guy by the name of Joe Seaman, who is a Democrat political activist, knows a little bit about this guy, Scott Pressler, so kind of going to spill the beans. I will be at this event tonight. Should be very interesting. The guy that is co-hosting with me today, Chris Wynn, will be there as well. Should be an interesting event. Chris, what's going on, my man?
It's good to see you, Brian. Good to join all of you PTL Nation out there, as well as Mark, as we come out another jam-packed weekend, right, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
Across the board when it comes to all things politics, sports, especially sports, obviously. As you had UNLV match up with San Diego State on Saturday, a bunch of NBA, college basketball, and NHL hockey going down this weekend as well, too. Vegas Golden Knights in action yesterday, and then, of course, Super Bowl Sunday transpired and took place yesterday as well, too, and what was let's put it this way, a very memorable football game, right, gentlemen, that took place between the Chiefs and the Eagles.
So I have a lot to talk about with you about the Super Bowl. Before we get to the actual game itself and my grievances on some of the calls that were made, I have a lot of other grievances that I want to start with.
It's going to be fun. We're going to get into it a little bit here in hour number 1. No question. Let's
start about the advertisements. And I really didn't want to dive deep into any of the ads. I thought the John Travolta ad was pretty cool, and there were some good ads. But if you notice, there's some Jesus ads, some Jesus Christ ads.
Religious ads?
Yes, I call them Jesus ads. A conservative Christian foundation paid $20 million for those Jesus ads. And I'm wondering if Jesus would have wanted that money spent somewhere else, but I guess that's here nor there. But let's talk a little bit about this organization that wants to spread love. Well, here's who they really are. They're an organization based out of Kansas. They've bankrolled a conservative nonprofit leading efforts to roll back abortion rights and persuading businesses to discriminate against LGBTQ customers. By the way, that is not my opinion. That is according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. They're spreading love but they discriminate against people of the opposite, maybe different sexual preferences. And this is the group that is putting out ads during the Super Bowl about Jesus and love. I mean, they're such hypocrites. It's just unbelievable. It's disgusting to me. And I think they should be called out for it. Now, listen, the NFL, whatever organization is accepting the money, obviously the TV rights, they have the right to accept money for whoever they want to. But I believe they probably could get money from an organization that maybe has a little bit more credibility than this organization that is trying to roll back abortion rights and discriminates against people based on their sexual preference.
Yeah, it's tough to distinguish whether or not who's responsible, right, is the word we'll use for this organization to be able to get the ads on there, right? It would be I would assume it'd be the Fox Corporation, right?
Yeah.
It's Fox. It's Fox who owns, which, by the way, was interesting because what did you see? You saw Elon Musk and you saw Rupert Murdoch on the sideline sitting together.
I saw
and that triggered a lot of my fellow lefty friends out there and Democrats were obviously irked to see that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, it was a decision made. I would expect. And look, I'm not someone who's an expert when it comes to how exactly advertising dollars are spent or who's chosen as far as who's able to put their ads on the Super Bowl. But that's something that I think would have to be taken up with the executives at Fox or whoever it is that makes the decisions regarding the Super Bowl.
But that's how I feel about that. And again, another organization that's as far as I'm concerned, that's a hate group. When you attack people based on their sexual preference, you're a hate group, as far as I'm concerned. So we start there. There's a lot of intricacies. Again, I'm going to talk about here. We're going to talk about before I get to the actual game itself. Let's talk about the turf for a moment. The NFL.
Well, that's about the game. That's about the field.
Right. Well, we'll talk about the field. I'm not talking about the actual plays, but the turf itself. The NFL had 2 years to prepare this field for this game. They knew it was going to be there. 2 years. Players were slipping and sliding all over the place. Many of the players had to replace their cleats with a new set of cleats at halftime. Players like Reddick said, I'm not going to lie. This was after the game. He said, it's the worst field I ever played on. That can't happen in a Super Bowl. He said it was very disappointing. It is what it is. It was hard. I beat my man a couple times trying to turn the corner and was just slipping. Eagles star left tackle Jordan Mailata said the field was terrible and that it was like playing in a water park. Quote, 3-time Super Bowl winning offensive lineman Mark Schlereth called the field absolute trash on Twitter and said the NFL should be absolutely embarrassed. Now, there are more players that have come out, not just Philadelphia Eagle players, but Chiefs players have also. This is an embarrassment once again for the NFL. It is your biggest stage. It is the biggest game of the year. I would argue probably in any sport based on the ratings. And you have a football field that wouldn't even be suitable for a high school varsity boys football game, let alone the Super Bowl. How does this happen? Is my question. How does this happen?
Well, it does happen. And I feel like I'm going to be countering Brian a little bit on the show here today. In the first hour, I'm going to be playing devil's advocate a lot with B-Shap on this. Look,
defend the turf.
I'm not defending. Again, I shouldn't be in a position where I have to defend something that the NFL maybe missed the boat on, right? This is something that but I will say this. Let me say this when it comes to the field. Both teams played on it. All right. It wasn't like there was some advantage.
I didn't say there was.
No, okay, so let me finish my take before you jump in. All right.
Nobody said that.
It's both teams played on the football field. All right. In real time during the game, you and I and all of us, we saw the same game. All of us watched the game. Millions of people around the country and around the world in real time, Brian Shapiro. Were they talking about the field at all during the game? Absolutely not.
Yeah, they were.
So no,
some of the commentators were.
Not, well, again, so we're watching it at a Super Bowl party. I heard some.
Well, you were inebriated.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so again, my point still stands. All right, it wasn't like everybody was out there saying, "Oh my God, how are these two teams playing on this football field on Super Bowl Sunday?" There wasn't some over the top reaction in real time during the game about the field. And again, my statement is absolutely valid when I'm talking about. It's not like it was some advantage for the Kansas City Chiefs or disadvantage for the Philadelphia Eagles. Both teams played on the field. It's a lot of times we say, Brian, we cover the NHL, right? A lot of times they say, oh, it's bad ice out there. This rink has terrible ice, right? And there isn't some assumption or feeling that one team benefits over the other team, right? It's just an observation that we're making, an observation like you just made, saying that, and that a number of people have made after the fact, right? That the field was bad, okay? It was a bad field to play on, and the NFL missed the boat when it comes to the field preparation or whatever. Now, look, I would say that there was a number of tweets, a number of things mentioned before the game, talking about how the field was prepared and everything, and talking glowingly about it. But that's neither here nor there. The point being is that when we talk about things like the NHL with the ice, and we talk about playing conditions, we talk about the court at the Boston Garden in the playoffs, right, where, you know, players are in the locker room and it's like 150 degrees inside the locker room. Those are things, okay, so that's a situation where one team would be perceived to have an advantage. Not the case in this situation. Both teams played on that field. Okay, so both teams theoretically, right, some players from the Kansas City Chiefs could have said, yeah, I was slipping out there too, or I missed a play because of the field, you know, left and right, whether it's Kansas City or Philadelphia.
Okay,
so let's not get it twisted and act like, well,
interject.
again, so I'll finish it off by saying this. Let's not act like there was some advantage for Kansas City because of the field. All right.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never said
well,
that.
I
haven't heard anybody say that.
Okay,
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't heard one prominent person on social media or in the media say, hold on. I haven't heard one prominent person say that one team had an advantage over the other because of the field conditions. That's not the point that I'm making, and I don't think it's the point anybody's making. The point that I am trying to make is very simple. It's like when you're driving on a road, on a highway or a street, and the analogy I will make is the road is all effed up. It's terrible, and there's construction everywhere, and it's horrible, and it's bad for your car. It's bad for your engine. It's bad for your tires, whatever. Nobody would say, well, hey, you know, everybody has to drive on this street, so my responsibility. Yeah, you're right. Everybody has to drive on the street, but it's still bad for your car, and it doesn't change my point. Same thing with this game. Yes, it's not an advantage or disadvantage to one player or another. I think they're all at a disadvantage with the slipping and sliding and the conditions. The point that I am trying to make is that it is an embarrassment for the NFL. This was not a field that would have been suitable for a varsity boys high school football game. And this is the Super Bowl. The players deserve better. The fans deserve better. And the NFL effed it up once again. You know?
Okay, so that your end game is that you want to blast the NFL, right? You
well,
think
it's an embarrassment.
Messed up. You think the NFL dropped the ball.
They did.
Right? Okay.
They did.
That's your point.
They did.
It's nothing to do with either
It's
team
an
then.
embarrassment to the NFL, and it goes to show you once again, who are the grounds crews? Who are the people that are getting this game ready to go and get the field ready to go? How do you allow those conditions to happen? So, again, players said it was the worst field they've ever played on. It was a complete embarrassment. I'll tell you what I thought was an embarrassment.
Here we go.
Get to the officials later.
Here we go.
No, get to the officials later. It's Rihanna.
It wasn't an embarrassment.
So let me give my thought here. Let me give my thoughts here. And
you just said it was an embarrassment, though. Right? You came right out of the gate and said it was an embarrassment.
Let me tell you why.
Okay, tell me why.
Maybe I'm a little old school, but
maybe
I prefer. Well, you're older than me, so take it easy.
Well, I am.
But
I am old school.
When I see a halftime show, and I know it's a show, and I know it's about entertainment, I've had this thought for a long time. Don't call yourself a musician if you're not going to sing or play a musical instrument. I understand it's a show. Prince, the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, John Bon Jovi, these are actual real musicians. Now, I like some of Rihanna's songs. She obviously is a talent. I'm not going to.
She's an artist, not a musician.
But
she's an artist.
But why even have a microphone when you're not singing? Which clearly she wasn't. There were several moments during the performance where she actually put the microphone down. And Howard Stern made a very funny joke this morning. And he said, she wasn't lip syncing. She put the microphone down near her private parts so that her baby can sing. I thought that was kind of a funny joke. Yeah. But, I get it. It's about the dancing, and I understand she's pregnant and all this other stuff. If she knew she was pregnant and that's the excuse for not being able to sing or whatever, then maybe you shouldn't be the halftime performer then. That's just my personal opinion. I'm old school like that. I actually like real musicians playing musical instruments and actually singing, which clearly I would say 85 to 90% of that performance, she wasn't. That's what this day and age is about. You know, Britney Spears used to do shows on the Strip, right? I don't think anybody would think of Britney Spears as some sort of incredible musician or talent or great voice. She made over $300,000 a show on the Strip and openly admitted, the production, that the whole thing was lip synced. It was all about choreography and dancing. And by the way, those people that were dancing with Rihanna, they looked like something out of the sky that Joe Biden shot down. I don't know. I just thought that their outfits looked a little bit like I'm serious, like those balloons.
There were some funny memes on social media showing them looking like marshmallows, right? There's like marshmallows on a
What's
table.
What's up with that, man? I don't know.
Well, it was just a uniform. It was just the outfits.
You'd
that
look
wearing.
good in that.
Yeah.
I think you would. You should wear that tonight at the event.
Let me respond to what you just said, because
Sure.
I have, again, as you can imagine, I have a bone to pick on a number of those things you just said.
I'm sure.
First of all, Rihanna's not a musician. Okay, call me crazy. I'm not a monster fan of Rihanna, but I don't think I've ever seen her play a musical instrument.
Not what I've heard.
Okay, so she's not a musician. She's an artist. She's a singer, right?
Now.
Yeah, she's a singer.
She's a
an
singer,
artist.
but she doesn't sing.
There's plenty of people that are not people that are musically gifted as far as playing an instrument. So that's number one.
She's a singer, but she doesn't.
It's not
sing.
just about you. I mean, you're defining it as you said you're old school, which doesn't really have anything to do with this. I mean, old school, I guess, because you're not a fan. You're not a fan of Rihanna, I guess. That's fine. Whatever. That's
no,
fine.
I'm not a fan of people.
But old
lip
school
sync.
doesn't have anything to do with whether or not a person's a musician or a singer or an artist.
No, Chris, I'm not a fan of a person.
And
who
some
lip
of them can
syncs.
do all that. Well, what are you talking? These kind of shows, people are lip syncing all the time in these
Did
shows.
Paul McCartney
Everybody,
Paul McCartney?
Okay, by the way,
John Bon Jovi.
Okay, so there are in these Super Bowl shows, right?
Yeah.
There absolutely have been numerous occasions
I'm asking
in the past where
Who?
people have been lip syncing left and right. There, a lot of the performers, given when they're doing certain certain dance scenarios and stuff.
Who?
Well, I'm talking a bunch of them
John
in the
Bon
last
Jovi,
like
did he
20
lip sync?
years. I can't recall.
Paul McCartney, did he lip sync?
You're trying to put me. Okay, so you're trying to give me a
Rolling
gotcha right now,
Stones?
Brian, and I'm trying to make a point. Okay. You're
gotcha.
trying to get, yeah, you are. You're trying to, tell me exact people in Super Bowl shows that have lip synced.
Well, you're the one who's-
I don't know.
I'll tell you who has.
And first of all, you don't know either. So
Yeah, I
don't
do.
act like you know
Yeah, I do.
when people
I do.
are lip syncing.
When somebody has their microphone down and the music is still going, that's kind of a hint.
Okay, so again, let's get back to the point here. Okay, Rihanna. Yes, she was lip syncing some of the a lot of the show. Rihanna, whatever. A lot of the show she was lip syncing, okay? But yes, in the song Diamonds at the end of the performance, right? She was actually singing that at that point. She was singing at that point when she was singing Diamonds, when he had the whole production, when she's on the elevated platform and she's getting raised above the marshmallows below, you know, people that are dressed like marshmallows below. She was actually singing there. So you were correct when you said, look, 80 to 90% or whatever it is, the percentage you threw out there just to start the conversation. Look, but again, what I'm saying is factually accurate. There has been you're telling me that people haven't been lip syncing in
change my
performances.
opinion.
You're telling me that people haven't been lip
change my
syncing in Super
opinion.
Bowl performances in the past.
Irrelevant. Doesn't change my opinion. Rolling
Well,
Stones.
it's irrelevant. It's
Yeah.
absolutely relevant because I'm stating a fact that actually did happen when it comes to these shows.
Yeah, sometimes
so
people
you acting
can't
like
sing.
it's outrageous that Rihanna lip synced, and so you have like a huge problem with it.
J-Lo.
And look, here's the deal. Here's the deal. You've already gone on social media, Brian, and expressed your opinions on a lot of the stuff, right? And you expressed your opinion on Rihanna's halftime show, right? And you basically said it was one of the worst halftime shows ever. I believe you might have said it might have been the worst halftime show ever.
One of the worst I've ever seen.
It doesn't have to be over the top. You don't have to have a take that's over the top. It was the worst or the best.
Well, in your opinion, it's over the top.
Okay, so it's in my opinion,
yeah,
and probably
a lot of people agree with me. By the way,
it wasn't the worst halftime show ever.
Okay,
Was it the best ever? No, probably not.
Okay,
but to come out and be like and have the hot
you could have
have the hot take.
You could have
that it was the worst show ever. It's not the worst show ever.
You could have done that.
People have lip synced.
Learn a few choreographed
I don't need to recall
moves.
individual. I don't need to sit here and look through my phone at every halftime performance and say, well, this Justin Timberlake lip synced here and didn't lip sync here,
I'm not a
and
Timberlake
Madonna
fan.
lip synced here and didn't lip sync here.
All right,
and
respond.
And then it's a difference between, and
Right,
again, there's a difference between musicians and artists and singers.
First of all, in my definition of a singer is not somebody that doesn't sing. That's number one.
Rihanna doesn't sing?
Number two, my
But Rihanna doesn't sing?
Let me finish, please.
Well,
my definition. Well, you
what
can
you said is not accurate.
Let me finish.
What you just said is
in
BS.
your opinion, it's not accurate. Let me finish. So
she
my
can't
opinion,
sing, is what
my
you're saying.
opinion of a true singer is somebody that has never lip synced in their life. Elton John, who I believe did the halftime show.
You don't think Elton John's ever lip synced in his life?
No, I don't believe that. No, I don't. Give me an out. Give me show.
Bam!
Show me.
Bam! PTL it.
Show me proof.
Okay,
where
he absolutely
Elton John-
has. He
Okay,
absolutely
well,
has.
show me evidence of that. I remember. I'm not even a big Rolling Stones
Elton John
fan.
has lip synced before.
Not a bit. Okay, well, you can show me evidence of that.
Okay.
I don't think you know what you're talking about. But anyway, Rolling Stones. I'm not even a big Rolling Stones fan per se, but they did not lip sync. Mick Jagger did not lip sync. I go back to Paul McCartney, who is obviously a legend, a Hall of Famer. Paul McCartney. I'm not even a big Paul McCartney fan, but he did not lip sync. You know why? Because he's an actual singer and musician. I go back to others in the past, like John Bon Jovi and Prince. These are actual musicians and singers.
Yeah, they're
Now-
multi-talented artists. I don't know
Now,
why you're.
that is what I prefer over somebody that lip syncs, and that is my opinion on that. And if you want to defend a lip syncer, you can go ahead and do that. but I
Yeah, so
disagree.
now it's flipping on me as if I'm defending lip syncing.
Hey,
You know,
Hey,
hey,
you know
I don't
what?
make the rules, bro.
You're probably
I
a-
don't make the rules.
you're
They
probably
do
a
what they do.
Sanjaya
Yeah.
fan. You probably like Sanjaya.
So Rihanna can't sing, is what you're saying. You said Rihanna's. I want singers to be able to sing. So
Sure.
you just said that.
So here's my opinion.
So I deduced by what you just said there, by you saying
here's
that
my
Rihanna's
opinion
not a
on that.
singer.
Yeah, here's my opinion
So
on
apparently
that.
she's not, because she lip syncs.
She was unable to
Yeah.
sing for most of the performance yesterday. And I think if you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars to do a 10-minute
It
performance,
has nothing to do about money.
yeah, probably should be able
It
to
doesn't
sing.
matter about money. It's,
Okay,
it's a halftime show.
Okay, so that's my opinion on that. And I believe that, in my personal preference, that I prefer people actually playing music live. That's my
Well,
personal
yeah.
opinion.
And look, bands do. You brought up a lot of bands, right, that don't lip sync. Obviously, in a band situation, right, where you're playing the song and you have the band on stage, you're probably not going to be lip syncing, right? David Lee Roth for Van Halen's not going to be lip syncing. Obviously, Bono from U2 is not going to be lip syncing, right? You brought up all these guys. Prince, right, is going to be playing the guitar with his band.
Yes.
And he's not going to be lip syncing, but there are situations in any. And by the way, it's not just a Super Bowl. I'm talking about performances across the board in all kinds of entertainment landscapes. Right? We're talking about different situations where lip syncing it's looked at, and this is, for lack of a better word, as more efficient. Right?
Yes.
From a production value, there's a reason. There's a method to the madness, which is a phrase I use all the time.
Okay.
Right? There's a reason why they do it, Brian. All right, and you don't have to look at it like it's some kind of black mark on them as an artist, because they lip sync in certain situations.
Here's how I'll end this by saying I believe Chris Wynn, if he was taught a few choreographed moves,
I've lip synced in the shower before many times.
Yeah, that's
when
very
listening to music
very
in the shower.
very often
when it's playing, I'll absolutely lip sync left and right.
Very
and
often.
sometimes actual voice comes out. I actually sing.
very off-putting. I don't want to think of you ever in the shower, but I will say this: if you were taught a few choreographed moves, I believe you could have done what Brianna did yesterday. And you're not pregnant, even though you look pregnant. You're not pregnant.
I wanted to be an NSYNC. I did back in 1999. I did. I wanted to take JC's spot.
Okay.
With NSYNC.
So here's what I think we should do. I'm gonna take a deep breath and take a quick break.
Yeah.
And when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about what I consider one of the worst calls in NFL history.
Oh boy, here we go.
So we're going to talk about that and explain to you my grievances with the NFL and why I believe the fix was in. So
grievance is definitely the right word, PTL
so
Nation.
We'll talk about that when we take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? No worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. Located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moss. He was Las Vegas' top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges, his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site X-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Right. Welcome back to this Push the Limits on a Monday, the day after the Super Bowl. Yes, a lot of people hung over today, I am sure. Chris Wynn joining me in studio. I have to give a nice shout out to our host of the wonderful Super Bowl party yesterday. We've been going to it for years now. Our boy Brad does a great job. Wonderful people, great food, fun atmosphere, and
Brad and Sarah, tremendous.
Yeah,
party
they do
that
a great
both do.
job.
Sarah, big time on the meatballs, Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
Quality stuff.
There were some inebriated people there. I was not one of them,
Yeah,
but
there was.
my ex-girlfriend showed up too, by the way. I haven't seen her in a while.
Yes, she
Yeah,
did.
that was interesting. But it was fun people, good time. You know, I'd rather do that and go to like a house party like Brad's party with good people than go to a casino. You know, like I don't know. I'm more of a I'd rather go to it feels like I'm back east again. You know, I guess that's why maybe.
It's a different kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, I like
different
it.
kind of vibe.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So this was a really, for all intents and purposes, it was very competitive. It was a really good game. It was back and forth. What a lot of people expected. A lot of scoring. It was an exciting football game. And then with 2 minutes left to go, the game was tied. I believe, was it 35 apiece? What was it?
It was 35 all,
Yeah.
as Philadelphia was able to, Jalen Hurts was able to get the run
Correct.
for a touchdown and then get the 2-point conversion
Right.
as they were down 8 in this game.
Right.
As it was absolutely a
Yeah.
matchup, as you point out, Brian,
Yeah.
between two very evenly matched football teams.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining game. It was a lot of fun to watch. And then there's 2 minutes left to go. And the Chiefs are trying to get at
Driving
least
down the field
in field goal range.
Yeah. Well, they already are. Yeah.
And there was a holding penalty, excuse me, that was called with just under 2 minutes left to go in the game. If the holding penalty is not called, the Chiefs don't necessarily have a gimme field goal, but most likely they kick a field goal and they're up 3 points with just under 2 minutes left to go. Let's play the first initial reaction. I believe it's actually cut 2. Cut 2. I want to go. Okay. Well, I want the initial reaction of Greg Olsen live on the telecast when Greg Olsen is seeing the replay of this holding penalty. Have a listen to this. We don't have any audio. Oh, okay. I thought we had audio. We don't. Okay. Well, I guess we don't have that audio. I thought we did, but
We
anyway,
all saw it. We all watched
we
it.
all watched it. We all saw it. So Greg Olsen live on the call spoke truth, and he said, yeah, that's not a call that I would have made. I don't think that's the right call at the time.
He had his opinion.
So there are a lot of other people that agree with me that, and here's why. Here's why I say
Here
what
we
I
go.
say. So, you know, I've never officiated football games before, but
No.
I have officiated basketball for about 20 years.
Okay.
And I speak to a lot of people that are in the field, whether it be basketball officiating or football officiating. It's funny because my boss at one time is still an NFL official, and we would have these conversations all the time. Mm-hmm. And the conversation goes something like this. You make a few 50-50 calls or even tic-tac calls early in a game, that's one thing. But with 8 seconds left to go, and I'll make the analogy to basketball, with 8 or 9 seconds to go, you want the players to decide the game unless somebody gets absolutely hacked. Dan Orlovsky, who certainly one of the top commentators who played in the NFL, said, excuse me, absolutely awful penalty, horrible call. Robert Griffin III, bad call. This play happened 40 times in the game. If you don't call it then, you don't call it in that moment. That is exactly the point that I made right after the call was made. Every single play that happens, but they decided to make the call in the most crucial moment of the football game. I could talk about Colin Cowherd. I could talk about LeBron James. LeBron said, sorry, but I don't like that call. Not for the Super Bowl, man. Skip Bayless, I hate it that such a great game was decided by such a cheap, bad ticky-tack call. Let the players decide a game like this, just sickening. I could not agree with him more. Robert Griffin went off. Robert Griffin III, he went off. There's a lot of other NBA players and boxers and professional athletes. Pat McAfee is another one. We don't have Pat McAfee audio, do we? Okay. Pat McAfee also went on a tangent. And he's got probably arguably the most successful sports podcast, him and Joe Rogan, who also played in the NFL. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there, including the commentators that were on the game. If you go in slow motion and you look at that play, you could say to yourself, yeah, it was a hold. Just like you can go into a lot of NBA games and say, yeah, that might have been a foul. But if you ask most professional athletes and coaches in any sport, they will tell you, unless somebody gets absolutely hacked, unless it's 100% necessary, you have to either put the whistle in your mouth or keep the flag in your pants. And this was a situation where the game was pretty much virtually over. And my argument is not Philadelphia would have absolutely won the football game if they didn't make that call. I've never made that statement. What would have happened is the Chiefs would have kicked a field goal. For all intents and purposes, most likely they would have gone up 3 with a little under 2 minutes left to go. And then Philadelphia gets the ball and we can see what they do. They do one of 3 things. They either kick a field goal to tie the game, and most likely the game goes into overtime. They either win the game on a touchdown or they don't score and the Chiefs win by 3. Those are the 3 scenarios. The players decide the outcome. And the frustration is, well, Brian, the guy who committed the penalty said that, he held him. Well, here's my response to that. Here's one of the takes. There's
a bunch of others.
Here's my response.
Into, but yeah,
here's my response to that. Number 1, players don't want to get fined. Number 2, players, as a professional athlete, you don't want to make an excuse after the game and so that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. There are plenty of professional athletes that prefer taking the high road, and that's fine. But when you talk to people who have played in the NFL, who have had Hall of Fame careers, players who still play in the NFL that are tweeting everywhere, that are claiming what I am claiming and what Robert Griffin III is claiming and what Dan Orlovsky is claiming, that you can't make that call at that time. Why? Because the Chiefs were able to run the clock down. They get a first down. They kick what is basically a chip shot field goal. And then you only give Philadelphia, 8 seconds for a miracle, trying to, come up with a miracle. That's not the way that game should have ended. That referee, and I say referee, not referees, that referee should not have thrown the flag in that moment. Now, if you want to go back and say, well, look at this play in the first half, look at this play in the third quarter. This is 2 minutes left to go on the final drive, the outcome of the Super Bowl. It was a well-played game. It was an entertaining game, and that official controlled the outcome of the game, in the final seconds, and it was absurd. And that cannot happen. And like I said, I'm not the only person who feels this way, and it has nothing to do with being biased. It has nothing to do with placing a bet, because 2 weeks ago, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'll explain. I'm not done yet.
All right, yeah.
2 weeks ago, the Cincinnati Bengals played the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs, late in the fourth quarter, were basically handed that football game.
Why
do I
handed
say
to
that?
it?
I
Why?
will explain.
Why?
Well, I'm about to
It
explain.
was a penalty. He pushed him out of bounds.
I will about to explain if you allow me to, and I am not talking about that penalty that pushed him out of bounds. I'm talking about the previous 3 or 4 penalties that were late in the fourth quarter, which clearly I guess you're not aware of. The holding
I absolutely
calls,
was aware of those.
the holding calls, the penalties that allowed when Pat Mahomes was sacked, and then they replayed the same play over again, which should have never happened. That would have given the Bengals much better field position. The holding calls prior to that. The Kansas City Chiefs were given virtually every call late in the fourth quarter 2 weeks ago against the Bengals. Their good old boy is no longer Tom Brady, but it is Pat Mahomes. And that proved again in the later stages of the football game yesterday. They did not want the Bengals in the Super Bowl. They wanted Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That official who threw that flag is an effing disgrace. He is a disgrace because officials at every level are told when the game is on the line, whether it's 8 seconds left to go in a basketball game or the final drive of the Super Bowl, unless there is a mugging going on, you do not throw a flag. That was an uncatchable ball, and it should not have been thrown. And most people agree with me on that one. And if you don't agree with me on that one, then you don't understand game circumstance and when officials should call things and when they shouldn't.
Oh, so you are done now? Okay. That's a lot to chew on, what you just tossed out there. All right. You tossed out a lot of opinions, a lot of viewpoints. I get it. All right. Yeah, you had. And look, full disclosure, Brian, you've already gone on social media and made your opinions known on social media. You've been very adamant about your feelings regarding the situation. I'll focus on, obviously, the play at the end of the game. All right. I can pose a very simple question. And the simple question is this: was it a penalty? And the answer is what? And the answer is what? Was it a penalty for defensive holding?
Answer you?
Yeah, answer me.
Okay,
was it a penalty?
Give me 30 seconds to answer your question.
Well, it's actually a very simple question. Was it a penalty for defensive holding?
I'm going to answer.
And you know what the answer is. So I don't know why you're delaying it and trying to say you need 30 seconds to talk about it.
Because
it's a very simple answer. The answer is yes.
Okay,
it was a penalty.
Are you going to let me answer? Because you got to.
Well, go ahead. I mean,
30 seconds.
Your answer should be yes.
Okay. Give me 30 seconds to answer your question.
Okay. So
you could bang the console. You asked me a question. I'm going to answer it. Okay.
I'm aware of your opinion. You just gave it for like 10 minutes.
Okay, well, why are you asking me then? If you put it in slow motion, a lot of people would say, yeah, he probably.
It's in slow motion. I don't care if it's slow motion or if it's regular speed. It's a penalty.
You want me to answer?
He grabbed the guy.
Are you going to let me
answer? So what are you talking about?
Okay, I'm answering the question. I'm sorry if you don't like the way I answer the question, but you're asking me something, and I'm going to answer it the way I want to answer.
It's a yes or no question.
Okay, no, it's not.
It's not?
No, it's not.
It was a penalty.
Because there are ticky-tack calls that are made late in basketball games, and officials are taught not to make those calls. This was an uncatchable ball.
What are you talking about? It was the penalty was called
after the football dropped. 10 seconds after the penalty, you're supposed to throw the flag when the holding happens.
Excuse me. The penalty occurred at the beginning.
Then why was
of the play. What are you talking about?
No, it wasn't. The flag was thrown after the ball hit the ground. You have no idea what you're talking about.
By the way, you don't know the rules about football. Defensive, dude. Now, uncatchable ball refers to pass interference, not defensive holding. You can have, so you're shaking your head, but you don't even know the rules. Defensive holding can occur whether the ball's catchable or not.
Okay, let's go with that.
So it's not pass interference.
Let's go with that.
Let's go with that. That's the way it is.
Then why was the penalty thrown after the football hit the ground?
All right, so I got into like 2 minutes of my. Okay, so look, here's the deal, bro.
You won't answer.
I got into 2 minutes of my opinions regarding this, and you already want
because you asked me a question.
And the question was very. You could have answered it very easily by being factually accurate. Well, it was a penalty. It was defensive holding. Okay, so this whole thing that you're putting forth that you don't make this call at that time in this game is complete BS. It's nonsense, all right? That's a call. Yes, it doesn't get made a lot all over the place. Absolutely. Is it something that occurs a lot in an NFL game? Absolutely. And I've already acknowledged, and myself and a number of other people, when it comes to this, again, defensive holding penalty, Brian, with less than 2 minutes left where they're driving down the field. Yes, I don't think it was some egregious penalty. It wasn't some obvious penalty for defensive holding. And it wasn't pass interference because it wasn't pass interference. The point being, though, is that the idea that it was the worst call, again, I'm coming back to your social media post because you have reflected very much on this on social media, so your ideas are out there. You described it as one of the worst calls in NFL history.
Yes, based
and
on
you decided
it's
which is absolutely beyond ridiculous. Okay? It's a ridiculous take. It's not the worst call in NFL history. It was a penalty. You can make the case. That it was a soft penalty, right? That it was a little bit weak. You can absolutely make that case. I've made that case. And also, I'll point out as well, too, and again, you've already talked about this on social media. The idea, Brian, you're being very disingenuous. The idea that you don't have a dog in the fight and that it doesn't impact your feelings on this, that you happen to have a little bit of coin on this game is completely, again, utterly ridiculous.
Nothing to do with my opinion. Irrelevant.
I didn't have a bias at that point. I had already lost all of my bets. I lost every single prop. I lost the bet that I had in the game. So I absolutely didn't have a dog in the fight at that point. So I have no reason to be biased. I'm not a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I'm not somebody. And
I'm not a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
So, but you acting like you're not, that you didn't give a damn about the outcome of that game or that Philadelphia win that game is disingenuous. You're being disingenuous, Brian. That's number one. Number two, okay, this idea that the Kansas City Chiefs are somehow the darlings of the NFL, again, makes absolutely no sense. It's not true.
You can have an
The Chiefs are not the darlings of the NFL. They're not the freaking Dallas Cowboys or the New York Yankees. Or it's not like the NFL is like, oh my God, we have to have the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. We have to have the Kansas City Chiefs advance in the NFL playoffs. The Chiefs didn't even make it to the Super Bowl last year. They lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's not like the NFL is like, oh my God, Pat Mahomes, we love it. It's not like a Tom Brady situation in New England. Right. So the Chiefs are not some darling of the NFL. That's number two.
So,
number three, all right, you're acting like this one play. Again, another take you had on social media and that you actually point out here. You act like this decided the football game. The referees decided the game.
It did.
They did not. The referee's decision here to call a penalty that was a penalty did not decide the outcome of the game. All right? It did not.
Okay.
And you're discounting all the gameplay beforehand, everything that took place. You're discounting calls that went against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Plays, obviously, like that fumble, a touchdown. That was highly disputable on both sides that was talked about. And look, you can't, Brian, here's my final thing I'm going to say. You can't cherry pick, brother. You can't cherry pick. You can't say, oh, yeah, the ref. And by the way, we were at the same Super Bowl party together, you and I, and you were kind of clowning me saying, oh, yeah, see when the referees disagreed with you on those two calls earlier on.
Well, because you're wrong about everything.
Okay, so let me finish. So the two calls earlier on, obviously the fumble touchdown, right? That Kansas City would have flipped the score. That Kansas City was losing at the time. They would have been leading if that call goes Kansas City's way. And then, of course, the catch on the sidelines that wasn't a catch because the ball was transferring from one hand to the other when one foot was in the air. And they didn't have sufficient evidence to overturn it, so they just kept the call the way it is. My point, though, my final point is this. You want to cherry pick the officials in this football game. When it comes to those two calls, you're like, oh, the referees nailed it. They were on spot. The guy in the booth, the referee that's in the booth, he was completely right. When it came to that Kansas City fumble touchdown, he was spot on. When the ball was on the sidelines with the Eagles wide receiver, and a lot of us thought it was not a catch, you were like, oh, yeah, the referees nailed that one. They knew they were spot on there. But then you come and say, with 2 minutes left in the game, and on a play that is absolutely a penalty. It's a penalty, which is the whole point. A play that's absolutely a penalty. You want to flip around and say, oh, the officials, that was ridiculous. They decided the game. And the officials, the officials essentially handed the Kansas City Chiefs the Super Bowl.
May I respond?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, thank you. So first of all, you're taught, whether you're a basketball official learning how to officiate the game or football or any level, you're taught to be consistent with your calls. That is priority number one. Some officials, whether it be football or basketball, some officials will call things a little more tight. Some officials will let more things go. But the important thing that coaches ask for and players ask for, and quite frankly, most fans ask for, is consistency. If you watch that football game from start to finish, and even the players,
which I did,
if I can finish. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, if you watch it,
if I may finish, the players will tell you that type of hold happened throughout the football game. Throughout the football game, based on replays, if you go on social media, and you can see a ton of different plays where the officials chose not to throw a flag. Now, the difference between this call and some of the other calls that you're mentioning is as follows. This virtually was the end of the game because it's either one of two scenarios. Either the Chiefs, if the flag is not thrown, have to kick, maybe 25, 30-yard field goal. Most likely they go up 3. Yeah. But then you give the Philadelphia Eagles plenty of time to come back and score, and maybe they don't. I don't know what happens, but they would have had that opportunity. When you throw that flag, it is virtually the end of the football game. Why? Well, what we all saw is what the Chiefs did, and they got the clock down to about 11 or 10 seconds, and they kicked a chip shot. That was virtually the end of the game based on that call. Now, going back to what I said earlier, where we talked about, you used the term darling of the NFL. Again, I go back to 2 weeks ago, and anybody who watched the Bengals-Chiefs game, which, by the way, I didn't have a dog in that fight at all. I enjoyed watching the game. It was a good football game. If you watch the fourth quarter, and I am not talking about the shove when Pat Mahomes was out of bounds, that was a bonehead play, and I don't blame the official for throwing that flag at all. It's a call I think you have to make there. I'm talking about the prior 6 or 7 minutes of that football game were literally
in a completely different drive.
Okay,
Not even that drive. That drive was started because of a great punt return.
I am talking about the prior 3 or 4 calls when the Chiefs had the football and when the Bengals had the football, where virtually every single call went against the Bengals. And a lot of people were saying what I'm saying, which is, the referees largely were on the side of the Kansas City Chiefs based on fourth quarter calls in that football game. With 2 minutes left to go, what a lot of these players are saying, and I am saying as well, is very simple. You can look at a game and you could look at a specific call and you could say, yeah, I can see the argument where that was probably a foul. Or yeah, I can see an argument where that was probably a hold. Going back to that play, if it is holding, the rules state that the referee immediately throws the flag. The referee did not. If you look at the replay, hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Throw it 2 seconds later.
Let me finish.
Well, it's not about finishing. It's about me correcting you.
No, I'm
trying to correct you.
It's about.
I'm not letting. It's not about letting you finish.
Then if you think
when you say something is wrong, then I'm just trying to clearing it up.
Then if you think you need to correct me, then wait until I'm done, because I did the same thing with you. In that position,
I don't need to be corrected.
In that position, the referee did not throw the flag until the football had well already hit the ground. The referee's responsibility is also to throw that flag immediately when he sees a hold. The referee did not do that, and he waited until the play was over. That's another criticism that many, not just me, not just fans or radio hosts,
people
but actual current and former players.
People that agree with you. Yes.
I'll open up the phone lines. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We're going to switch to politics here in about 15 minutes, so I guess now's your chance. If you want to be a part of the conversation, do you agree with me, or do you agree with Chris Wynn, who, by the way, did lose all of his bets? I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, that's true.
702-221-7283. By the way, for the record, I had to listen.
You did it. Did you have and let's be honest, let's put our cards on the table, Brian. You had a wager on Philadelphia.
Yeah, not a significant, a small bet.
So this idea that you're acting like it doesn't matter. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. You're Shaq. We know you. So why are you acting like it doesn't matter?
What I am trying to
completely, completely disingenuous, bro. You're saying that you're acting like it doesn't matter. You're poo-pooing it, and you're kind of being condescending about it too. Because
I'm not being condescending at all.
Because you're trying to fucking you're trying to sidestep it, And it's like, dude, come on, man. Like, at least let's at least be intellectually honest about where we stood when it comes to the situation.
Okay, well, I don't know what you're talking about, because I could have an opinion on something, and it doesn't have anything to do with a wager or being biased on something. And by the way, to prove my point 2 weeks ago, in talking about the Bengals-Chiefs game, I was very outspoken about that as well. All right, let's get right to the calls. 702-221-7283. Let's start with Mark, if we can. Again, that number 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Mark, what's going on?
Hey, guys. I'm new to listening to the show. Chris, are you this crazy all the time?
I am.
Holy cow.
Hey,
wow.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's crazy. I get
Mark,
amped up.
Hey, Mark.
I get amped up. No question.
Hey, Mark, guess what? When I was driving home after this party, Mark, Chris was screaming at me in the car for 20 minutes. And guess what?
Because you know what?
Hold on.
Gets me that fine. You ask me a question. Finish. You're the one that's talking now.
Mark, guess what?
Me the question.
Mark, guess what word I used to describe him in the car?
I'm afraid to respond on the radio. Get you in trouble.
No, I said the word you just said. I called him a lunatic because he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get. Hey, Mark, I'm passionate, my friend. Yes, I am. And you know what? Shapiro pushes my buttons. That's the thing. Yeah. This kid over here, he pushes my buttons left and right. He knows how to do it, and he gets it done.
All right, Mark.
You guys got me hooked. I'm listening every day.
Well, Mark, you're the best. I appreciate it. Mark, do you agree with me or Chris? Mark, hold on. Do you agree with me or Chris?
No, I agree with you. I'm afraid.
Thank you. Well, don't be afraid of it because I'm right. Thanks, Mark.
Yes, he's right. Yeah.
All right, Mark, I appreciate the call, my man. Thank you so much, and I'm glad you found our show, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for calling in, Mark. Chris,
I
there
thought
you
there was
go.
going to be another Mark Nil. I thought there was going to be, I thought there was going to be a little Mark Nilsson action.
Yeah,
there.
I thought so too. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Very heated discussion.
Yeah.
That's fine. Who are we going to next, Mark? Who would you like to go to next? I'd like to go to one of the. Let's go to Glenn. Can we go to Glenn? Thanks, Mark. Okay, let's go to Glenn. Glenn is next up on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Glenn? Glenn, are you there, or do we have somebody else? Okay, Walker.
This is Walter.
Sorry, Walter. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I miss you guys. I came in the middle of the conversation. I was in the car. I'm out the car.
Yeah.
But I think I heard Chris. Chris was the person that I heard speaking. The host. Am I?
Right.
Are you Chris or?
No, I'm just his co-host on Mondays.
Chris is the
Brian's
lunatic.
show.
Oh,
This is Brian's show.
Okay. First, I'm in agreement with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a college and a high school referee.
Okay.
I know the white hat that was working the game yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also know another person that was on the crew, and my daughter's friends with that person.
Okay. Can
But
I ask you
going
a
to
serious
the play-
question? Can I ask you a serious question? Do they owe any? Do they owe any money to their bookies?
Wait, one more time.
Do they owe any money to their bookies? I'm
And
sorry.
by the way, he
That's
just
the
said that was a
point.
serious
Wait.
question too, which is hilarious.
I'm sorry, I was joking.
Understand it, but you know what? I'm still waiting for my direct deposit. I've been doing this stuff for 20 years. I know Walt Anderson. He's in the New York. He's the guy that's got the big board. He's in the captain's chair. I met Walt on 04.
Yes.
And so all of that information coming down to what that penalty was going to be yesterday came from him. But that call happened on the field, and like you said, it's consistency. And
They weren't consistent,
I saw
though.
some stuff. I saw stuff happen.
They can be consistently bad or good, right? They can be consistently bad or good.
Good or bad. It's,
Yeah.
You've got to go
Glenn,
with that. But
I'm sorry, Walter.
to
Walter, hear me out on
Walter,
this,
thank
okay?
you, sir.
You and I have that in common. I've been a basketball official for 20 years. So we're taught at a young age, right, to be consistent.
Yeah.
If you're going to make that call with 2 minutes left to go, you better have made that call throughout the game consistently. You cannot tell me that they did that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've heard that through all my career. If we're going to, and I started as a back judge, if I'm going to catch you 25 seconds late and drop one on you, if I didn't do it in the first part, I better be hesitant.
Walter, that's my whole point, my friend. That's the only point I'm making. Yeah.
I get it. I'm in agreement with it, but let's flip it right now. And I know you guys probably mentioned it. If he did not, where would the Chiefs and their fans be, and Randy Reed be on his way to New York this morning?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they would be.
Disagree.
They'd be bitching and moaning too. No, they would be. No, it's true. He's right.
Disagree.
He's actually right. Hey, Walter, let me ask you a question, okay? Let me flip it on you guys a little bit. Let me ask you a question, okay? Because Brian and others that agree with him on this have tossed this take out there. The whole, you don't make that call at that point in the game. What do you think about that as someone who's an actual NFL official, not some basketball guy or people that have their opinions? What do you think about that whole take of
let me ask you a question.
I'm in agreement with you. I mean, I worked in LA as an official 10 years, and I've been here about 10 years doing it. And across the board, there's that philosophy. Yeah, okay, if you don't do it early, don't do it late. But believe me, the guys I've been here for 10 years, and I'm on a crew here, a high school crew for the last year. Those guys know me, and I have a handshake with them, and I trust them. So they know if I'm reaching in my pocket, it's a problem, and I'm going to correct it.
Walter,
and
last question. Last question, my friend, because I'm sorry, we got other people on the line, but I appreciate you calling in. Why did the official throw the flag after the football hit the ground?
Okay, that was a late official, and when that happened yesterday, my focus was I saw Carl, the white hat, after the Kansas City quarterback was pointing downfield. Then Carl saw the flag coming in, and I don't know. And they're on comms. They're talking to each other, too. And there's the two officials on that sideline, plus the back judge in the middle of the field deep.
Yep.
And I don't know. Maybe that conversation happened, and there's only one person that can answer. That's Walt or Carl.
Well, Walter,
Anderson.
I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate your expertise.
I got last thing. What's your show hours? When are you guys on?
Oh,
so
well,
I want to catch you from now on.
So I do a show 20 hours a day. No, I'm just kidding. Noon to, I just argue with Chris every day, and I turn into a psycho.
Every Monday. Every Monday.
No, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. And we also go to, it's called Pushing the Limits. We also have a PTL Vegas fan page where we have video and audio, so you can see my face turn red. And Chris's, we turn into extremely white people to red people very fast.
I'm gonna be looking. I'm gonna check the website
and
everything.
So PTL Vegas, you can find me on, because we do video and audio. You can go on YouTube.
Great.
Yeah, all that stuff, social media. I've been called worse, but my name is Brian Shapiro. Okay, Walter, I appreciate you, my friend, and you're gonna trust me. You're gonna trust me. Trust me. You're gonna like the show tomorrow too. We have some very special guests. Thank you, Walter. I appreciate you, my man. Good to hear
Walter
from you.
agrees with me.
Yeah. No, he agrees with me too. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Glenn. Glenn is next on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Glenn?
Brian, I'm definitely with Chris. I mean, where in the rule book does it say that you don't make that call if you think it affects the end of the game? What do you do? Look at your watch?
Sure. I'll answer your question.
That's a great point. The official's not thinking, oh, how am I going to... No. I'm responding to what he said. And Brian,
that question to Chris?
Brian, you need to hear this, Brian. Okay?
So he's
the official's not thinking, how can I screw over the Philadelphia Eagles at a point? Okay. How can I take this game away from the Eagles? That's not his mindset. So that's what the call is trying to... point he's making, right?
Glenn, may I answer you? Because Chris is not allowing me to. Okay. Yeah. Glenn.
Okay.
There are unwritten rules. I'm trying to answer your question. Can I answer?
Brian, you take your answer.
Yeah.
No, you take your answer and you flip it, and they haven't made the call against the Chiefs.
Okay. So you're not going to let me answer your question, and you're just going to keep talking. Is that how this works? Is this how radio works?
Whatever you demand.
Well, it's not really. It's not really whatever I say. It's a rapport and a respect, right? When you ask me a question, give me an opportunity to answer, and then you can respond. Can we do that?
Okay.
Thank you.
It's
very nice of you. I appreciate that. So there are something called unwritten rules in professional sports, which are, and I've talked about this ad nauseum. If you're going to be consistent, you should be consistent. If you're going to call ticky-tack fouls at the beginning of the game and you're going to call something at the end of the game, be consistent about it.
But I think
these types of holds were not called throughout the football game. You don't decide to call it with 2 minutes left to go in the game. That's an unwritten rule. So if you want to be one of those people, that says, well, look at the replay, it was a flag, then we can go through almost every play of the entire Super Bowl and say that could have been called there, that could have been called there.
Or you can just call it a penalty because
you let the players decide the game. You don't let an official decide the game, and that's exactly what happened.
Or you can call it a penalty because it was a penalty.
Okay.
You don't have to look back at every other play. Well, I mean,
we settled that. You're wrong.
Okay, no, I'm not.
He's wrong.
Okay, so let's just call every ticky. Okay, so let's just call every ticky-tack. Let's just call every ticky-tack play with 8 seconds left to go in an NBA game or a college basketball game. Sir, that is ludicrous. You are ludicrous.
No,
let's just call everything. If I ref a middle school boys basketball game, let's call 800 calls because a call is a call. That's what you're saying. It's ridiculous. What you're saying is ridiculous.
But you're at a 10 right now. You're at a 10. It's like, come on.
What you're saying is ridiculous. Just call everything.
Look, we understand you have your opinion, your take on this call. You think it was ridiculous. You think it was outrageous. You think it was one of the worst calls in NFL history. And you think that the refs, dude, you said this on social media. You said that you thought the game was stolen. You thought the game was rigged. You called the NFL rigged. You said the refs wanted the Chiefs to win. So why are you acting? And now you're getting out. You got to, dude. You seriously were about to. Your head was about to explode.
Yeah. By the way, I would have given Glenn.
Head was about to explode.
By the way, I would have given Glenn a chance to respond to me. But if he didn't interrupt me to begin with, we would have had more time. We're running out of time. Do we have anybody else on the line? 702-221-7283. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next. What's up, Carl?
Carl, what's up?
Yeah, hey guys.
Carl, what's
listen,
going on?
I hate to destroy anybody's feelings, but I think the Chiefs really didn't win. I think it was rigged.
Well, they did win,
it was rigged. It was rigged. I belong to a new group called Game Deniers. I think you've heard of that.
Okay, that's funny. That's funny.
Oh, wait. Okay. Carl's making a funny, Shap.
That's a political joke. I like that. No, that was, hey, by the way, Carl, I have to say, I'm going to agree with Donald Trump here. Donald Trump was blasting Rihanna today. Now, they've had it going back and forth. Rihanna's gone on social media saying F Trump. I agree with her on that as well. But I'm actually going to agree with Donald Trump on this one. I thought it was a disaster halftime performance. I hate to agree with Donald Trump. Because I don't agree with Donald Trump on anything, but I'm going to agree with him on this one.
Yeah, but they've made a good deal on the halftime play. They only paid Rihanna, but they got 2 for the price of 1, though, didn't they?
Can I ask you a question? You're a former psychologist, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think there's that when Rihanna put the microphone down, do you think there's any truth to the fact that maybe she wasn't lip syncing, but maybe she was trying to get her baby to sing? Is that possible?
I think the baby was singing. She's trying to get it, breaking into show business. and as far as the game deniers, I'm trying to get the Congress to hold meetings to investigate this thing.
Okay.
Because it was rigged. The whole thing was rigged.
All right, that was funny, Carl.
Hey, Carl, I like those definitive statements you're making there. Just like Brian, like Shaq's been doing all day on social media. Definitive statements.
Carl's trying to pin me to the QAnoners. I don't know if I like that, but it is funny. Carl, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
You got it.
All right,
thanks, Carl.
I'm a game denier. That's kind of funny. I admit that. All right, so Chris, I don't even know if you're going to stick around or not. You're more than welcome to. But we're going to this. We're going to switch topics here.
Yeah.
Going to this event tonight. Yeah, it is funny. This is where me and Chris might agree. We're going to this Clark County Republican event at the Ahern Hotel, and the guest speaker is a guy that's been. His name is Scott Pressler. The Southern Poverty Law Center has claimed that Scott Pressler is a part of organizations that have been anti-Muslim rhetoric, and conspiracy theories. So, Chris, I wanted to get, and me and Chris are going to go to this event tonight.
Yeah.
Of course, because we support the Clark County Republican Party. They're just wonderful people, of course. That and the fact that I have 2 guests that we're going to have hour number 2. The next guest, Katrine Avanoff, she's a Republican political activist. She is going to this event tonight. I want to pick her brain and talk about this event. And then later on, we're going to talk to Joe Seaman. He is a Democrat political activist who wants to speak out about this guy, Scott Pressler. So Katrine will be joining us next. Chris is welcome to be here, red face or not. That's totally up to him. And we'll take a quick break. So we'll be back right after this. We need to push the limits right here in case it.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Salone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch, School of Arts, just off of Rainier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Salone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years and prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges, his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. We're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, we'll take care of all your healthcare needs. We offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site X-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554.
And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to stationcasinosports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
A great time! Your entertainment destination, the South Point, invites you to experience the ultimate great time under one roof. Dancing, a live show, a movie, delicious dining, and one of South Point's 11 restaurants. So much to see, so much to do. You won't know where to start first. This week, make it a South Point week and discover for yourself why the South Point is your entertainment destination for a great time.
The Klondike Casino is a friendly local spot that features their signature restaurant, the Klondike Grill, serving up fresh food fast. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just off the 95 freeway on Sunset Road in Henderson, you will find the Klondike Casino, featuring all your favorite games from the Strip in the comfort of a neighborhood casino. You can place a bet at the full-service sportsbook or start your day with a breakfast plate that comes with your choice of potato and toast. Or check us out for lunch or dinner and try one of our many sandwiches, like the popular beer-battered fish sandwich or the Philly cheesesteak. Check out the full menu at KlondikeSunset.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. So glad that you could join us. Please join us at Jackson's Bar and Grill, one of my favorite gaming bars in town, by the way, located at Flamingo and Jones. Every Wednesday, you get 200 points, you get $50 in free play. It's my favorite gaming bar in town. In fact, I think I'm going to head there a little bit later today. Jackson's Bar and Grill, Flamingo and Jones. Great food, great atmosphere, great gaming bar. I've been known to hit some jackpots there from time to time as well. Chris Wynn, not so much. But,
every once in a while,
every once in a
knock it
while.
out. Left
Fair
right.
enough. Yeah. All right, so we do a lot of different topics on this show, from sports to politics to just about everything. And there's an event at the, I guess, sponsored or run by the Clark County Republican Party. Chairman Jesse Long, I spoke with yesterday. A guy by the name of Scott Kessler is in Las Vegas today doing an event. Controversial figure for a lot of different reasons, but we're going to talk about that. And the lady joining us in the studio, she's known as Miss Fix-It. I have to ask her about that nickname. She is a Republican political activist. She lives here in Las Vegas. She's going to the event tonight, so we wanted to talk to her about that. And her name is Katrine Ivanov. Did I get
Ivanov?
Ivanov. See, I knew I would get your name wrong. I apologize for that. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Hence the nickname, Mrs. Fix-It. Nobody gets that wrong.
Why did you get that nickname?
When I started running for political office, I ran in 2022 election for Assembly District 42.
Yes.
I knew people were going to get my name wrong, either the first one, the second one. Americans cannot say R, so they don't call me Katrine. They call me Katrine.
Got it.
So I'm not very good with nicknames and never had one. And I was praying to God to give me a nickname that's going to make a statement and it's going to be easy to remember. And my husband comes home, so it is Mrs. Fix-It for everybody that keeps calling me Miss.
For the record, my nickname is Mr. Break It.
Okay. That's a good combination. And then my husband, who never complains about anything, comes home and he can literally fix anything from a car to a house to a he even made at my old house the firewall just through painting, make it look like marble wall. And he's just really talented. And he was saying, oh, the guys at work make fun of me and they call me Mr. Fix-It. I literally heard angels singing when I heard the name.
So there's the nickname. I like it.
I was like, thank you.
I like it. So tell me about this event tonight. Why is this an important event? And this guy, Scott Pressler, tell me about him. And I certainly have my opinions, but I want to hear from you first.
Honestly, it's I don't know much about him per se. However, I like learning, and I will go learn from anybody. I don't care if it's a Democrat, Republican. I think you can learn from every person something.
Okay, so you don't know a lot about him.
I don't know about him.
They're going to be talking a lot about, I guess, election integrity and ballot harvesting.
I don't think about election integrity, to be honest. So what happened was, until a few years ago, ballot harvesting was a felony in this state. And then the legislature, of course, passed that we can do ballot harvesting. So now it's legal. So we're not saying it's cheating. However, us as a Republicans, we were not very fond of it, and we refused to participate. And I believe that was the biggest mistake we made in 2022, because with all the inflation, with all the crime, with the situation the way it was pretty much given on a platter that we should have won. And when I say win, I say Republicans.
I'll tell you why I think Republicans didn't do very well. Let's start with Las Vegas. Jim Marchant, election denier, QAnoner. Adam Laxalt, election denier. They don't have solutions to any problems. Sigal Chattah said she wanted her opponent hanging from a pole. It's very difficult to win.
Not exactly. She did not say that.
What did she say?
I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but that's not what she said. It was, but in any event, let's go back to the actual problem. The problem was that we did not want to participate in the rules, in the game with the rules that were written. And we should have used the rules and follow them versus boycotting. So we lost that election, in my opinion.
Because of ballot harvesting, you think?
Because we refused to ballot harvest.
You don't think it had anything to do with the issues? Like abortion rights taking away from women?
Honestly, no, because abortion in Nevada is in the Nevada Constitution. No elected official can touch abortion.
I understand that, but they can have a vote where the people can re-vote on abortion. And there were a lot of candidates that ran here, and women find that very frightening when their personal positions are they want abortion to be abolished if they ever had the opportunity. You're right. In the state of Nevada, a politician can't change the laws.
6 months.
But they can ask for a revote for the people. And I think throughout the country, not just Nevada, that's why Republicans didn't do as well as they thought they were going to do. I think it's a big issue.
Actually, the biggest issue to me is the uninformed voter. Because even in Nevada, they were running on the abortion issue, when in Nevada, abortion issue is not an issue. Because not just politician, anybody, I can decide to make a petition and to put it on the ballot.
So you think Democrats are the ones that are uninformed, not Republicans?
Oh, no, I think they're all uninformed. A lot of the people are uninformed. So you have very small amount of people that actually care to research the candidates.
I don't disagree with you.
I think both sides are need help.
I don't disagree with you on that. However, when you see polls that say around 6.5 to 7 Republicans still believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election, wouldn't you consider that misinformed?
I wouldn't, but I wouldn't take any position on it one way or another, because I wish they had some kind of a system that would check what really happened, so we can know one way or another.
What do you mean what really happened? Joe Biden won the election, didn't he?
That's what they say.
However, what do you mean? It's what they say. It's what the country says. Everybody voted. So explain to me why. I want to pick your brain.
Yes.
Why is it that you can't admit right now? You seem like a smart lady. Why is it you can't admit right now what is truth, which is Joe Biden won a free and fair election? What do you mean it's what they say?
No.
Where's evidence that would prove the contrary?
Exactly what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
So it's not he won, but I wouldn't go as far as to say free and fair.
Why?
Because I watched Steven Crowder. He took Nevada list of voters that already voted, that was available on the website, of people that voted in the 2020 election. And he had people go with the cameras to the addresses, and those were non-existing addresses. And then he called on camera live, he called the Nevada election committee or whatever that thing, commission. He called it in person. This is all on record.
Okay.
And he said, listen, I know I have this person doesn't live on this address. That address does not exist.
Okay, so how many votes do you think that could have affected?
That's the problem. Nobody made the research to find out. We can't say one way or another.
Was that ever proven in a court of law, and was he ever charged with a crime?
The reason it wasn't proven in a court of law is because they didn't even allow to have investigation on the subject.
Could it possibly be because maybe there wasn't sufficient evidence to show in court?
You can't tell me it's not sufficient evidence if you're not looking for evidence.
According to you, but
where's Who do you know that actually went and looked for it other than Stephen Crowder?
Where's the evidence of widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of an election?
I did not say widespread.
Well, that's how an election is changed.
But you don't need widespread. You only need it in a few places that are swing places. You only need it in a few places.
So you're
you
telling
don't
me
need
you
it widespread, and you don't need it to be organized. It doesn't have to be organized.
In order for the election to have been overturned, it would have had to have been widespread based on the vote count. And
not really, just few places and few mistakes here and there.
You think a few mistakes here and there would have changed the outcome of the 2020 election when Joe Biden won by millions and millions of votes?
I also think if they didn't suppress the Hunter Biden laptop, that alone would have turned the election around.
What is on the Hunter Biden laptop? What did they suppress? What did he do to break the law on that laptop? Please tell me.
He has underage
No, he
girls
doesn't.
there.
No, he doesn't. That's never been proven anywhere.
He definitely has emails.
Okay.
He definitely has
Okay,
emails.
hold on.
The big
The
guy,
first thing I asked you-
10%
hold
for
on.
the big guy.
Hold on. With all due respect, what you just said is factually not true.
Can we come back with the Joe Biden? There is a 600-page book for the Joe Biden computer. Hunter Biden, I'm so sorry. Hunter Biden.
Okay, so number one, Hunter Biden is a private citizen. He's not a politician. Number two, it has never been proven what you just said. That is a conspiracy theory, with all due respect. Hunter Biden was not seen with underage girls. Where are you getting that information from? With all due respect.
Laptop.
What do you mean? No, you don't have his laptop. Where are you getting that from?
There is a report that is over 600 pages.
What report are you referring to?
I'll get back to you with the name of the person that did the report. It's a nonprofit organization that did it. It's non-partisan organization.
So you have a nonprofit organization that's claiming that Joe Biden is seen with underage girls in a laptop that has.
I didn't read the report, so let me get
claim.
back. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm taking it back until I read the report, because the report is exactly pretty much email by email what's in there.
Fair enough.
So I promise you, I'll get the book. And we'll go back on that one.
Fair enough.
Let me make a quick point about whether or not the 2020 election was on the up and up for both of you here, and makes a statement that's factually accurate. The Attorney General of the United States, who was appointed by Donald J. Trump, said that there was not sufficient evidence whatsoever, and he actually used the term BS to describe the fact that there was any kind, either widespread or election fraud that would have impacted the 2020 election. Numerous Secretary of States across the country at numerous states, in places, especially in red states, right, where Donald Trump actually won, certified the election and said that there was not any type of voter fraud or anything that went on that would have impacted the election. Now, you guys started off this conversation by talking about ballot harvesting. And look, the average Joe, the average Jane out there listening to PTL Vegas right now isn't aware of the actual definition of what ballot harvesting is, right? Ballot harvesting essentially is ballot collecting, right? It's gathering and submitting of completed absentee or mail-in voter ballots by third-party individuals, volunteers, workers, rather than submission by voters themselves. It's usually people that are incapacitated, right? They don't have the ability to actually, turn in their votes by themselves, right?
Or
and there's
lazy
obviously,
people.
yeah. So, well, yeah. But people that are proponents of quote-unquote ballot harvesting, promoted as an enfranchising those who live in remote areas, lack of ready access of transportation, are, as I pointed out, incapacitated or in the hospital or in jail. Now, critics, like I assume you are, of ballot collection / harvesting, claim that there's a high probability of vote misappropriation or fraud. Yet there's no, claiming that or thinking that there is and actually having evidence are two very different things. So when we're talking about the 2020 election, people can have their opinions and you can have their takes and their feelings, but you need to have actual factual evidence to put forth. Right. If you're claiming that there's some type of misappropriation or some type of a situation in which Joe Biden stole the election in 2020.
I agree. So, Katrina.
But that's the reason I didn't take position one way or the other, because I don't believe there was a sufficient investigation on the matter.
The Secretary of State's all over the
prove-
country, even Republicans and Democrats, certified the election. So
Yeah.
it's not, but the evidence refutes that statement you just made.
I come from a communist country, and things are done a little bit different there. And I thought things are done different there. The more I get involved in politics, the more it looks the same. So I just choose not to take any position on the matter because I don't think it was sufficiently investigated.
Doesn't there have to be evidence in order for something to be investigated, though? Like, wouldn't you agree with me? Like, if there's a murder, right? Police are going to investigate it because somebody is dead. Why would there be an investigation into the 2020 election when there's literally zero evidence? By the way, Donald Trump's own attorneys, some Donald Trump appointed judges, threw it out, and then they had opportunities. Trump's attorneys had opportunities to provide evidence, and guess what? They didn't. So you say it's not been properly investigated.
A lot of the lawsuits, because I was watching two attorneys commenting, because I'm not an attorney.
Right.
A lot of the lawsuits were thrown out not on the factual basis. They didn't even get to listen to the facts. They were thrown out for standing.
But to this day, none of Donald Trump's attorneys. It seems like this could have been the biggest crime in American history. We turned to the MyPillow guy for answers. Nobody has put forth any evidence of widespread voter fraud. There's going to be fraud in every election. I think we can both agree on that. Democrats and Republicans are capable of cheating, right? But the problem I have is this event that we're talking about tonight.
Okay.
And maybe we can talk further about that.
Let's
You're
do
entitled to your opinion. I understand that. But
at least for now, so I'll use it.
Sure. I appreciate you being here. So this guy, Scott Pressler, we're going to talk to a Democrat in about 10 minutes, organized multiple protests leading up to the January 6th riot. He called it the largest civil rights protest in American history, which is
Thank
absurd.
you for calling it a riot, which it was a riot.
You don't think it was an insurrection?
No, I don't.
What would you call a group of people that attempt to overthrow our government? What would you call that?
I don't think that's what they were doing. I think they were upset people trying to express their disappointment with what's going on, but I don't think they were trying. It wasn't organized, and I don't think they were trying to overthrow the government. None of the people had any weapons with them.
That's not true. They did. There were weapons, there were guns, and police officers were attacked with their own weapons. There were some guns that were confiscated, and there are people that are now in jail for that. There were weapons. Several people died, including a woman that was trampled that day, and 140 officers were injured. These weren't just lovely, nice people.
I would like to follow up with that with you on that, for you to give me that for me to research, because
absolutely.
my information is different. So I would like to swap sources.
Okay.
And go back to that.
So 140 officers were injured. You are aware of that, right? Or is that not, you're not aware of that either?
I know they were saying that somebody got that was killed, and then it turned out it wasn't killed. He died a couple of days later from a heart attack.
So yeah, there was an officer. There was an officer that died the next day of a heart attack. He was beaten. He was pepper sprayed, and yes, 140 officers were injured that day. Several officers.
How many got injured in the Summer of Love?
If you're referring to Black Lives Matter, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I would gladly have that.
It kind of does a little bit, because they're measured by different measurement sticks.
So here's why I say it's completely different. First of all, tens of millions of people were protesting. And the overwhelming majority were protesting for equality. The people that were there on January 6th were protesting because they didn't like the outcome of an election. Yeah. That's the difference. Do you not understand that difference, or?
It still goes to the same merit. People don't like outcome of something, so they're protesting.
Yeah, but one is a valid reason to actually have protests and have the situation. Look, no one is absolutely saying that damage to buildings and all that is, but one is a righteous reason to be protesting. Another one is anti-democratic, essentially. And it was both. You can call it both. You guys talked about it. It can be called both a riot and an insurrection as well.
Correct.
You can call it both.
I mean, we can have long conversations about what our opinions are on January 6th, but let's try to get back to, and you're welcome to come back in, but let's try to get back to this event tonight.
Let's do that.
So this guy served as a strategic for an organization, Act for America.
You know about this guy a lot more than I do. I thought
do.
I was going to be talking more about what the event is about.
This is the
Sorry
guest.
about that.
This is the actual speaker.
He's the main guy,
in the
right?
event.
Yeah.
And I'm, as a Republican, I'm a little surprised that you don't know anything about him, and I do. But anyway, the Anti-Defamation League and the Southern Poverty Law Center have called the largest anti-Muslim hate group in the country that this man has organized. Is this the kind of person you want to be associated with as a Republican? Because that's apparently what the Clark County Republican group here, they've paid this guy to show up and talk, and he has organized the largest anti-Muslim hate group in the country. Is that somebody you're comfortable being associated with?
Defy associated with, because I'm going to learn from him. And in the beginning of the interview, I said I would learn from anyone.
Even if it's
Democrats, Republican.
There's no line. Like even if it was David Duke and the Republicans sponsoring an event with David Duke, you would want to learn from somebody like that?
I would still learn something, maybe not what he wants me to learn, but I would learn something. Yes, you can always learn something from someone. We should learn from history. We should even learn from Hitler. What he did was terrible. So we should make sure we don't allow that to happen again. So learning from someone is different than being friends with them, associating with them, and all those things.
But I don't think
I
anybody
would learn from anyone that is
understood.
willing
I
to
understand.
offer.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think anybody within the Republican Party would pay a Nazi to speak in an event. Right? There's a line that you shouldn't cross.
No,
right?
but if Nazi is speaking somewhere, I may want to go listen to what he's saying.
Yeah,
so
I
we
don't-
know how to
I don't think-
counteract or something.
Well, okay. Well, we disagree. I mean, I wouldn't give a Nazi the time of day. And anybody, quite frankly, who is racist.
I would want to
or-
know how they think so we can counteract them.
I think anybody who's racist or looks at somebody based on race or gender and treats them differently I don't want to learn how they think. They're just hateful people. They're just bad people, all right? I mean, why do we have to learn how they think?
Absolutely.
Right?
Maybe so we can change their mind.
Yeah, I
The
think-
whole reason I want to talk to Democrats, I don't think they're bad people. I think they're misinformed. And the only way to be able for us to get somewhere if we actually talk about things, because we have a lot more things that we agree on
Right.
than we even can imagine, because all we're throwing is the negative things first. Why don't we talk about, okay, as parents, as a Republican parent, as a Democrat parent,
Yeah.
we may not agree on the curriculum. So let's not start with the curriculum. We all agree we want our kids to be safe at school.
Sure.
Let's start there.
We have, haven't we?
Let's not really.
And we've heard
Let's-
harden our schools, and gun laws have not changed in this country. I will-
Again, going to gun laws. Let's start with the things that we agree on. Let's get a bunch of parents, Democrats, Republicans in the room, and let's keep reminding our main goal is
Yeah.
to keep those kids safe. Put feelings aside. Let's work with facts. What do we need to do to keep the kids safe? Everybody wants to keep
Sure.
the kids safe. I'm not saying I have the solutions. I'm saying start with a conversation that we agree on. In that conversation, we will get to know each other. We will find out that you're not evil. I'm not evil. He's not evil. We just want the best for our kids. We just have different ways of getting there. Once we have a conversation and figure out a way of getting there, then once we get to know each other on a personal level, it's easier to open our minds and go to the subject we disagree on and be able to listen to each other better.
To an extent.
And to get back to the event that we're talking about, obviously,
Yes.
right? This Pressler event. When Brian
Yes.
talks about you being associated with Scott Pressler, right? What he's talking about, obviously, is your ideologies, similarities, right? The fact that both of you happen to be Clark County, right? Republican people that are in the Republican Party. That's what he's talking about when he's saying
I am
association.
persona non grata in the Republican Party, so they don't like what I have to say because I don't sugarcoat
Okay, well, let me
things.
ask you a question then. Will you agree with Sigel Chavez? I don't know if you know her personally. I would imagine
I
you
do.
Okay. The comments she made about her opponent, why can't we just say they were wrong?
I think it was taken out of context, and yes, it's her job if she thinks she's wrong to apologize. I didn't make that comment, so I can't apologize for her.
I never said you made the comment, but why
I understand
can't, but why can't we just admit that when you make a statement like that, it's beneath her to do that, and it's wrong.
Oh no, we agree on a lot of things like that because, for example, Michelle Fiore was attacking personally somebody else, and
Amy Tarkanian.
yes,
I've talked
and
about
she
that a
could
lot.
have attacked her on the action that she supported a Democrat, given her position in the Republican Party, and I have no problem with that. But when you go to personal attacks,
Which she did,
then I have a big problem with that.
Well, I agree with you, and that's
and-
why I say Michelle Fiore is a despicable human being, and that's not the first time she's done something like this before.
And that was the
Yeah.
reason that I ran for the National Committee woman, because she also called her a stupid waitress, and I had a personal dislike on that statement.
Well, I agree with you. That should have no place in either party.
Exactly.
And I feel the same way about Sigal Chattah. She's made some horrible statements that, quite frankly, are beneath anybody that's running for office. So, I guess we could definitely agree on that. But the point I'm trying to make, Katrine, is I agree with you that I like to learn from different people. It's part of the reason why I wanted you here. I want to have a good discussion. We're not going to agree on a lot of things. And by the way, I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent, believe it or not, but I lean to the left on social issues. But, I like having these conversations, and it doesn't mean we're all bad people. It's good. All I'm simply saying is, and I will be at this event today.
Oh, beautiful. So I'll see you there.
Yes. All I'm simply saying is when the Clark County Republican Party puts their name on an event, and they put this guy's name as the guest speaker, and they're paying him to be here. And the Anti-Defamation League and the Southern Poverty Law Center said he created the largest anti-Muslim hate group in this country. It's probably not somebody anybody should be associated with. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think that's unreasonable. And I would say the same thing if a Democrat did that.
Okay, but you just said you're going to be at that event too.
Sure, because
so
I
you're
want
going to be associated with him too.
Yeah, to call out the nonsense, to call out the Republicans, to call out this despicable human being, because I believe he is despicable, to call out the Republicans that are paying this despicable human being to be there. I am not in there to support the Clark County Republican Party. I am not there to support Scott Pressler, and I am not there to learn. I am there to call out.
I'm there to learn.
Okay, well, and that's your prerogative. You have that right. But I am there to call out, not you, but the despicable people that decide to pay this idiot, because that's what he is. He's an idiot. He's a QAnon idiot. To pay him to represent the Republican Party. There are a lot of people you can pay that I might disagree with, but they're decent human beings. They're decent people.
If you know people paying, tell them to pay me.
Well, you know what? I would prefer you over him.
I can talk a lot.
I would prefer you over him. That's for sure. All right.
And I'm easier on the eye too.
That's true. I concur.
Well, yes. Listen, the bottom line here is I think there are I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Do you remember when former Governor Steve Sisolak was verbally attacked and the guy followed him to his car?
Yes.
Okay. Members
I disagree with that, the way this person that was attacking him. I understand why he was upset. I disagree with how he did it.
Sure. We agree.
And,
so we agree on that. But the point I was trying to make is members of the local Republican Party here held an event and allowed him to speak at this event, and were charging. That's despicable.
That was when I wasn't even in politics yet, so I had
Not
no clue.
I'm not talking
He's just making
about
a point
you.
that they were celebrating
I'm not
essentially this
I
individual.
agree with what you said, and I am not blaming you for that. I'm simply giving you an
As
example.
I said, I'm persona non grata. The reason is because even at the last meeting we had, when there were the votes for National Committee woman, they put it on the vote to take the person that was recording what Michelle Fiore said. And my comment was, why are we not upset with the one that delivered the that announced the message, the one that said the words?
I agree.
Why are we upset with the delivery person?
I agree. So here's
Be
what
upset with the one that cooked the pizza, not with the pizza delivery guy.
I agree with you 150%. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to learn, even if it's from somebody that I think is a bad person. I understand your position. So here's what I want to give you the opportunity to do next, okay? We're going to take a break, and I'd like you to stay. The guy joining us next, his name is Joe Seaman. He is a Democrat political activist. He knows a lot more than I do.
He probably knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah, about Scott Pressler. So I want you to listen to him, and we're going to talk to him next. So if you're willing to stay, I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here. Chris Wynn in the house. I want you to put on, by the way, Katrine's glasses, Chris. I think you would look good in those glasses, by the way.
I don't want to grab her glasses.
No.
I'm good.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Joe Seaman after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Oh.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot of people in studio. Of course, we got Chris Wynn. We got Katrina Ivanoff, Republican political activist. We're talking about this event tonight. The Clark County Republican Party has decided to pay a guy by the name of Scott Pressler to speak today in Las Vegas, and I figured what better person to talk about this than someone who has been outspoken in the past about Scott Pressler. He's run for office in New York. He's a Democrat, and he's a Democrat political activist. Joe Seaman joining us right now. Joe, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on here. And by the way, I consider myself a working families Democrat.
I like that. I like that, Joe, and I appreciate you coming on. All right, so Joe, I've been pretty outspoken about this guy, Scott Pressler, in the past. He did my show 3 years ago. It didn't go very well. He organized multiple protests leading up to the January 6th riot. He started the organization as a strategist for Act for America. The Anti-Defamation League and Southern Poverty Law Center have called this the largest anti-Muslim hate group in the country. I mean, what do you make of this?
Well, we organized a demonstration when our Congressman Stefanik was bringing Pressler to Saratoga County here in upstate New York, just for these reasons. Now, we all know that on January 6th, 2 years ago, there was an attempt to overthrow the American Republic.
Yes.
Someone lost an election and tried to hold on to power. This is what happens in dictatorships, not in a republic. And Scott Pressler, along with Lee Stefanik, were part of that effort. And that alone, I think my mic is too, am I talking too loud?
Okay. No, you're good.
I'll keep it down. I get a little excited. But Pressler and Stefanik and essentially the entire Republican political establishment were part of an attempt to overthrow the American Republic. And that alone is enough reason for us to stand up against someone like that.
So why is it, you think, that Republicans, particularly those, now this guy's on a countrywide tour. Do you think Republicans are unaware of all this stuff when it comes to this guy, or do you think they just choose to ignore it, Joe?
Sure. Well, I imagine Republican voters perhaps are unaware, but the Republican Party, their leaders, the elected officials, the committee leaders are all not only aware of it, but they embrace it. And in fact, they run on it. They have nothing else to run on but racism, fear-mongering, bizarre QAnon conspiracy theories, and scapegoating powerless people, weak people, minorities in order to serve the interests of the richest billionaires. Isn't
it?
The Republican Party is very much aware.
Isn't it true, Joe, that you organized a No to Hate rally?
That's right.
Back when this guy was in the news in your area. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we had, this is a while ago, this is before Lee Stefanik became known as the hate monger that we know her as now. And we had people who were outraged that Stefanik and the Saratoga County Republicans were bringing in such a vicious hate monger, somebody who is part of a group, Act for America, as they call themselves, that said, you cannot be a practicing Muslim and be a supporter of democracy at the same time. Terrible things to scapegoat and villainize people. They had these marches against Sharia, they called them, which promoted another bizarre conspiracy theory that Muslims were all trying to infiltrate the U.S. government to put their religious law in place to take over our democracy. And we had local people who, including not just progressives and Democrats, but many other centrists and moderates who joined us, who are outraged by that hatred, fear-mongering, and racism.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's disgusting. And the fact that this guy, Scott Pressler, was associated with this and Republicans are paying him to speak, I find incredible. But let me ask you this, Joe. If you had an opportunity to speak with Scott Pressler behind closed doors, I'm curious, somebody like yourself, what would you say to him?
Sure. Well, I'd ask him if he can tell me why every one of Trump's lawsuits claiming that the election was stolen was thrown out, that there's no basis in this so-called stop the steal idea, the idea that Biden somehow stole the election, how and why he still perpetrates this big lie. And I'd like to ask him also if he knows what are some of the historical aspects of fascism to note, such as promoting a big lie, such as trying to overturn elections, such as scapegoating religious minorities. And if he realizes that what he's doing is fascist, I think that's the right word.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, Joe, I promise you this, my friend. I'm going to this event tonight. If I am ever given the opportunity, hopefully nobody recognizes me, to grab the microphone, I will ask him just that. And I will also say, if you want people to vote Republican, why don't you talk about solutions to the problems facing this country and stop talking about the 2020 election and how it was stolen? Why don't you actually talk about real solutions to problems facing everyday Americans, like healthcare, like inflation, like gun control, like minimum wage? job growth. I mean, you want to talk about our border and the drug issues facing this country? I'm all for it. But this guy doesn't talk about any of that stuff. He just talks about ballot harvesting and how the 2020 election, was stolen. I mean, that's what I will say tonight if I get the opportunity, Joe.
Let me give you an example of some of the absurd lies. Pressler had a tweet. He tweeted out a message that said, Democrats equal equal mobs and Republicans equal jobs. And that is the actual opposite of reality. The January 6th insurrection was a violent mob, although he called it the greatest civil rights protest in America. But it was a mob of thugs, and he's accusing the Democrats of exactly what they are, a violent mob. And he says Republicans equals jobs, but let's remember that under President Biden, we have had the greatest job growth under any president in American history, I believe. So it's just an example that pretty much whatever the Republicans say, their accusations are really, maybe they're admitting what they did themselves.
Go ahead, Chris.
So, Joe, I'm the resident Democrat here live in studio, so I have a lot of, the same viewpoints that you do. You guys just talked about and brought up people like Elise Stefanik, right? People like Josh Hawley, Ron DeSantis obviously comes to mind. There is this kind of battle going on, right, in the Republican Party. It's been called kind of a civil war over the past 3 years with respect to the ideologies. I wanted to get your opinion on this because, look, it does feel like that. It feels like there's something going on. And, look, people are going to say me and you, Joe, we're Democrats talking about Republicans and we're biased. But I just want to get your impressions on what's going on in the Republican Party right now, because I do feel like there's this battle between the Mitt Romneys, right, and the 1980s Reagan Republicans, and then what's taking place now, the Stefaniks and the Howleys and the Ron DeSantises, which are, kind of pulling away from what that ideology was back in the 1980s.
Right. Well, I mean, we see Liz Cheney, and I never would have thought that I'd be agreeing with or supporting somebody with the name Cheney. Is somebody for whom there are lines. And let me tell you, whether I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, or I'm actually a Working Families Party member, but if the leader of my party lied 30,000 times during a 4-year term, if the leader of my party tried to stay in power after they lost election, I would call them up. So this should not be a partisan thing. This should be something that all Democrats and all Republicans, and we see Republicans like Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney are taking the right stand on this. This should not be a partisan thing. We Americans came together during World War II, and we stood against fascism. We Americans stood against Russian totalitarianism, and you would think we Democrats and Republicans could do the same, but unfortunately, the Republican Party is not. It is standing with an attempted overthrow of the Republic, standing with somebody who welcomed Putin, a vicious dictator, bloody dictator, welcomed Putin as a partner. So this is some crazy stuff we have going on today. And I hope that some of the Republicans who may disagree with us on issues such as health care and taxation and lots of other stuff will at least stand up for democracy and stand against racism and fascism.
Well, Joe, you're not going to hear much of an argument from me. I do appreciate you taking the time to join us. We have a guest in studio. I'll keep you on here for a couple minutes because I want to give you a chance to defend some of the things you said, even though I agree with you. Katrina Ivanoff is in studio. She's a Republican political activist. Okay, Katrina, we only got about 10 minutes here. But...
Hi. You say you would stand against your party leader if he lies, but you're repeating his lies. You say the biggest. I'm getting there. The biggest job growth ever, but the measurements are skewed because they're starting when they close the whole country down, and all these jobs that were existing jobs were forcefully stopped. And then from that point on, when things start coming back to work, of course you're going to have a growth. You start from a zero.
So let me ask you a
But if
question,
you-
Katrina. How about
but
last
we know
month?
A at the end.
Last month, the month beforehand, past few months, have these all been us coming back from this pandemic crisis? That happened a long time ago. We have today, in 2023, just this past few months, we've had millions of good paying job growth. We have more factory workers now, hundreds of thousands of factory workers than we had before the pandemic. Okay, we have
Because Trump put laws in place that he did executive orders to have the businesses penalized if they take the jobs out of here. That's how he kept the jobs
and
here.
that explains the jobs that happen now, 2 years after Trump's are out of office. The jobs are happening out. No, it's not a lie. And let
If
me
you
tell you
put
something
good
about
laws
lies,
in
if I
place,
can.
yes.
You may disagree with me. We can disagree on the reasons why we have such massive job growth. But you can't deny the job growth exists. And let me also make a point that we may disagree, but you can't call it a lie, as opposed to when Trump and the Republican Party, Stefanik, says that Biden stole the election, that Trump really won. That is pure lie, and you can't compare.
I agree with you
and I
because Biden doesn't
disagree.
even know his own name.
Okay, well,
he
that's
couldn't steal an election.
Okay, well, I'm going to disagree with that. We're not physicians, and we don't, we don't know Joe Biden's health. I will say this: for an 80-year-old, he did a pretty damn good job in that State of the Union. And when people say he has Alzheimer's or he doesn't spell his own name, besides being beyond disrespectful to the president, this is somebody, your party, people booing him and
Because he was
calling him a liar.
lying.
No, he wasn't.
Yes,
Hold
he
on.
was.
Hey, Joe, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to have
Thank
to
you.
continue this debate with her, but Joe, I'd love to have you on again sometime. I think it's a great
And
conversation.
I would love to meet with you because I want to
Yes.
learn from you.
Okay, Katrina, I would love to talk with you too.
Okay,
and
I'll take your number or I'll give you mine.
talk with people of different perspectives. Thank
Absolutely.
you for bringing some truth onto your program here.
Absolutely, Joe. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's Joe Seaman, Democrat political activist.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, Katrina, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about,
Yes.
and hopefully we can come to some sort of agreement here.
No.
And I'm going to make this very personal, but I lost my sister a month ago to a.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. To a fentanyl overdose. Joe Biden, at the State of the Union address, introduced a family that had just lost a 20-year-old. Not even minutes, but seconds after that, Republicans, not Democrats, many of them were booing him. And somebody in the crowd, a congressman, yelled out, "It's your fault." Not only is that not true, but it's despicable. And I will tell you why, because I am not speaking on emotion right now, even though this is a very emotional topic for me. 90% of the fentanyl that has come into this country are from legal ports of entry from, here for it, citizens, legal citizens. It is not Joe Biden's fault that my sister died. And when Republicans boo and when they interrupt him in the State of the Union, which is bad enough, they are trying to score political points off of my sister's death. And I will not allow that to happen. So with all due respect, Joe Biden is not lying. Are there things we can do at the border that could improve? Absolutely. But the fentanyl that has crossed the border are not from illegals. Are there some drug cartels that have, yes, a very small percentage. But do you know what percentage of illegals are bringing fentanyl across the country? 0.02%. And it comes from legal points of entry. So when you say he's lying, we can disagree on some of the things he said. That's fine. But this is not a lie. It's fact that Republicans showed nothing but disrespect and trying to score political points off of people like my sister who died of a drug overdose. And it's intolerable to me. It's intolerable.
I understand that. It's very, very close to you. But what they mean, I can tell you, to me, not one illegal person is bringing fentanyl because they're going into little camps and things. So they're not the one bringing the fentanyl. What happens is they're the one that are taking the resources from the Border Patrol. Instead of Border Patrol dealing with the fentanyl, the people that are bringing the fentanyl, they're busy babysitting the illegals. That's how the fentanyl comes here. Our Border Patrol gets overloaded with illegal immigrants and is doing paperwork and babysitting job instead of being able to do their own job.
So let me ask you
So
a
it's
question
a misunderstanding. That's why I'm saying we need to get in a room and we have to start pointing out facts, because we want the same thing. Both sides want to stop fentanyl, but you guys think we're saying that the illegals are bringing the fentanyl. We're not saying that.
What do you mean? Every single time Ron DeSantis is asked about this issue, he brings up illegal immigration when talking about fentanyl.
Yes,
so again, I
because
respectfully disagree with you. Many of these Republicans,
immigration overloads the border patrol,
So if you think-
and then the criminals are getting away and bringing the fentanyl.
But I
because
just
the
told you,
patrol is overloaded.
according to all the stats at the border, 90% of the fentanyl is not being brought in by cartels.
Because the border patrol is overloaded with doing other things and is not able to watch for the people that are bringing the fentanyl.
But I thought the argument from Republicans is we're not doing enough at the border to control illegal immigration. So now you're saying they're doing too much?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're overworked. They don't have enough power to control the border, and that's how the cartels and the fentanyl is coming in, because they're like magician. Here, watch that hand. That hand is with the illegal immigrants, so the border patrol is busy over here. They don't have time to see what that hand is doing, and that hand is bringing the fentanyl.
Well, I mean, it's going through legal ports of entry.
Yes, it is.
There is border security there. It's a lot easier for a legal citizen to smuggle drugs across the border than it is for somebody that's illegal. But you mentioned
I agree with
when
you.
Republicans talk about Joe Biden lying about, say, Medicare and Social Security. That also wasn't a lie, because I could name you two Republicans right now, one of whom put it in writing, which is Rick Scott, in his 600-page plan. It's in writing. He wanted to phase out Medicare and Social Security. Mike Lee is on video several years back saying he wanted to phase it out. Yet Republicans are saying, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that he's lying. That's not a lie. He didn't say all Republicans. He didn't even say most Republicans. He said some Republicans. So explain to me how that's a lie.
Because some Republicans don't represent all Republicans.
He never said that. He never said some Republicans represent all Republicans.
But there are so many other problems that Republicans and Democrats are trying to work on right now.
Yes.
That this is not even on the radar. Medicare
You don't think
and
not
Social
important?
Security.
Medicare, yeah, our
It's
health
not.
plans and our
Oh no, they are
policy when it
important.
comes
I'm
to
saying
that
it's not
is
on
very
the
important.
radar.
Yeah, it's not on the back burner. It's important.
You don't
thing.
think our health care is important? You don't think Medicare and
Of
Social?
course, it's important.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. And Republicans are saying
But
Joe
guess
Biden
what?
is lying.
Republicans and Democrats are in the pockets of big pharma, and they both are doing nothing about solving the problem. Even the payment system for the doctors is to incentivize to keep you sick enough so you can get more medication, but not get you well enough, or not preventive care so you don't even get sick. So we need to watch for a reform, and it's neither Republicans or Democrats going to give us that solution. We as people have to organize and figure out something else to give it to them, because those politicians are not worth the paper their name is printed on.
Okay, well, I would
Both sides.
I would tell you that shouting out and calling Joe Biden a liar or talking about Hunter Biden's laptop is also not going to solve any of the solutions that we're talking about now. I want to hear Republicans actually give me their solutions, and I don't hear any. Gun control, health care, maternity leave.
We're going to disagree on gun control. That's in the Constitution, and I respect everything in the Constitution.
Okay. We could have that conversation when you come back, when we have a little bit more time, because I think we could have a good, lively conversation about gun control. But hey, listen, Katrina, I appreciate you being here. It was nice to meet you. We'll see you tonight at the event.
Same here.
Yes, and you're welcome back anytime. And
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely have another conversation, because I think it's we have a lot more subjects that we need to talk about. But anyway,
Absolutely.
I appreciate you being here, Katrina. I really do. And you're welcome back, Chris.
Always a good time, my
I
friend.
sort of appreciate
It's
you being
Monday,
here.
baby. We got fired up a little bit there, hour one, talking Super Bowl, but it was a very eventful and fun show.
Yes,
I missed that one.
It was. Well, I'll be at the event tonight, and maybe me and Chris will have some good audio.
We'll
to
be
play.
there in a media capacity, right, Mr. Shapiro?
I think I'm going to wear a
That's what
Make
I'm gonna be doing.
America Great Again hat so I can disguise myself. But actually, I might do that, actually. But anyway, thanks, Mark, for the help. Appreciate it. Also, thanks to Mr. Joe Seaman for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Hey, we have some special guests tomorrow, including someone who's running for Senate as a Republican. Miss Rhonda will be joining us in the studio tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.
Right.